Hello everyone, how are you today? I hope you're having a really good day so far. This is part one of knitting a pieced and cabled cardigan, and I just wanted to show you my progress on a project in a series of videos because it will take me a lot of time to knit this entire project. I wanted to share with you what it looks like before I block it. This is the entire back panel, and I am now working on the front left side. So soon I'll finish the right side and then each of the sleeves. And then once those are completed, I'm sure I will be instructed to assemble the sweater and then apply the ribbing of the collar. So that is the plan. I've had some starts and stops with this. I tend to think that every project might require 3 or 4 cast-ons to get it right. Sometimes even I'll knit a whole big piece of it before I realize that my gauge isn't what I thought I measured, or that something's just not right and I need to make one adjustment or another. In this case, the first mistake I made was I documented on my channel already where I knit ribbing instead of that stitch here. So I needed to drop down and fix it. Well, it turns out I also messed up a cable way down here. When I went on a brief vacation, I put a stitch marker in where I began at the top of that drip, and I got a lot done in that short amount of time. I'm holding the live stitches on a extra cable cord that I have for my interchangeable knitting set. I prefer to knit with interchangeable needles. I find them the most versatile, and some stoppers so that they won't slip off. There's a little bit of shaping in this design to bring up the back, and I can't wait to show you this piece blocked. And here it is blocked. Don't those cables look nice and crisp and clean? This is really gonna be an amazing garment. One point I wanted to make about knitting cables like these is that it is pretty intimidating. I mean, I'm not gonna lie in front and say I wasn't a little scared when I made the purchase of these 7 skeins of yarn, which is a big project. It's not often I have to buy 7 full skeins to make a single garment. Typically I purchase 3 or 4 for any type of pullover project I'm working. 3 skeins if it's fingering weight, 4 skeins if it's a DK, and I'm typically knitting an extra small size. And so when I'm buying 7 whole skeins, wow, what an investment of money and time. 7 skeins takes more time to knit, and when it's an intricate pattern like this one where you're following a chart and several instructions at the same time, wow, that's an investment of time and energy too. So I do try to think carefully before starting projects because I do always plan to finish them, and I made the leap, and in doing so I can say that half of cables when you're knitting flat are knitting on the wrong side, and 99.9% of the time that I've knit cables, the wrong side is just knit in pattern. So for at least 50% of this project, evenly spaced throughout the entire thing, you know that half of the stitches are not even going to require that you read a pattern, which is kind of nice because it might take 15 minutes to get across one row of the back panel, and you know that at any point in time you could potentially pick up your knitting and knit for 15 minutes and really not have to read instructions, which I didn't really anticipate, to be honest, in casting this on, but that's the case. And so if you can really read your knitting clearly and know what is a knit and know what is a purl, you really might not have any problem starting to knit cables if you are new to cables or intimidated by the number of different cables in a design like this one, as I was. So that's something that I learned in this experience so far. And you know, I think maybe with any project, but especially ones like these, don't beat yourself up when you make a mistake because it doesn't really solve anything. And it doesn't make the process any easier. So if you can accept that it happened and just tear it out and know that there is no harm, no foul, but the expense of time, you know, just go with the flow and learn to notice your mistakes, learn to drop down and correct those mistakes. I'm often in this project having to drop down 2 rows to make a purl into a knit or knit into a purl because of one thing or another. So if you can fix your knitting and you can read your knitting, I would say you're ready for a big cable design like this one. And that is all for this part 1 of knitting a pieced cabled cardigan. I want to thank you so much for watching. If you want to find me on social media, my name is Taylor E. Owen on Ravelry, Instagram, and Twitter. You can find me as Taylor Knits on TikTok, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Take care.